Here's a hot topic for you: a cheating partner. Listen to learn the warning signs and tips on how to confront, heal, and decide what to do to move forward. Hi, I'm Carol Bettino, psychotherapist and the author of Better Choices, Better Life, and Directions, Your Roadmap to Happiness. This isn't from a letter, but I've had a lot of people ask me to talk about this. So I want to give you some warning signs, and then if everything is true and you have the proof on what to do before you confront, and then actually confronting the person, and then deal with whatever occurs from that. Okay. Some warning signs. First of all, don't jump to conclusions. I'm going to give you some of these answers here, or some of these points, and just because they're happening does not mean that you're in a relationship where the person is cheating. What happens sometimes is our addictive brain wants to obsess. And when we obsess, we get anxious. When we get anxious, we get overwhelmed. When we get overwhelmed, our emotions go on this runaway train. And it's like a roller coaster that we're on. And we don't think straight. And we maybe threaten, make bad choices. And I want to help you eliminate all of that. So listen to some of the warning signs. One, you see major changes in behavior. I mean, that could be anything from your sex life, where all of a sudden you feel like it's lacking, or not only is it lacking, but there's no emotional intimacy in it. Maybe the person's appearance, new haircut, new style, new clothes, all kinds of things that are showing that when they're with you, maybe not dressed as nice, but all of a sudden when they're allegedly working or helping a friend or going somewhere or staying late somewhere or whatever it may be, all of a sudden you can see that their clothing has changed. You also may recognize a difference in their spending. A lot of times you'll find their expenses on the credit cards for restaurants that are more than just maybe one meal, or a restaurant that normally they don't go to. Also pay attention to cash withdrawals, because most people don't want to pay for a hotel on a credit card, so there may be some more cash withdrawals or hidden money. Those are kind of things to pay attention to. Even if their credit card is being used out of the area, a lot of times it's out of the area for a reason, so that nobody else is seeing them. Especially if you find things like jewelry, whatever it may be, pay attention to those. But also look for the excuses for not being home. Working late when they never really worked late. Going to the gym and staying at the gym longer, but maybe they're not even at the gym. Maybe a friend needs help, a family member needs help. And even if you were to call that family member or friend, they're saying, yep, he or she was there. So sometimes it's their own car trouble, flat tire, a dead battery. Pay attention if they're coming home in the middle of the night, but don't really have a good excuse for that. Going to work really early, coming home really late. Maybe even a business trip where they never had to have business trips before. Pay attention to using the phone or any electronic device in private. Sometimes people will say they never carried it with them all of the time, but now they always have it. They left it out one time when they were in the shower, and all of a sudden there was a new password. Those are things to pay attention to, especially if they have a second phone, if you find a second phone. The other is, if you were to confront them, they're going to get angry. They may even turn everything around and make it about you, which would be the gaslighting techniques, or techniques that that they're choosing not to take any responsibility. They're just wanting to manipulate you to the point where you won't ask again because it's causing a fight. Now, again, don't jump to conclusions, but these are definite warning signs you should pay attention to. But don't necessarily confront because there's warning signs. Before you confront, that's what you need to pay attention to. First of all, keep in mind one of the most important things is you have no control over somebody else's behavior, and you have no control over how they're going to react. However, you should be prepared for how they're going to react so that you can then react in an appropriate, healthy way. The other is if you have any of these warning signs or you're suspecting it or somebody has called you, maybe you've sent somebody has sent you pictures or you found something on their, social media, whatever it may be. Once you have found out, keep in mind you are going to be on one of those emotional roller coasters, but you have to deal with your feelings first. Now, as a therapist myself, the first thing I'm going to tell you is get into therapy and start to talk about what your concerns are, to make sure that they're valid, and then also that if you are going to confront them, how to confront them and how to deal with the reaction of that confrontation. Now, the other thing is, too, in therapy, you're going to learn to deal with your feelings in appropriate ways. You don't want to find yourself angry and then getting into this screaming match or texting about this. Please, we do not confront a problem or communicate issues in a relationship by text. Number one rule, do not do that. That is the most unhealthy way of doing it, and it creates more problems than not. You do have to deal with your feelings if you found out this person is cheating or you strongly suspect this person is cheating. You may feel devastated, you feel hurt. Sometimes you're even so sad that you're confused, like, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Why isn't he or she looking at me? What did I do? And you may turn this around and blame yourself for it. We're not responsible for other people's behaviors. Even if there is a problem in the relationship, there's so many healthy ways to communicate. The most unhealthy way to handle it is to go out and have the affair. But the person may start to feel confused and scared, but you get numb. And then all of a sudden the anger comes up. Why? Because you felt deceived, you felt betrayed, you feel disrespected. That may trigger some unresolved issues from your past, and it may trigger some things that have happened in prior relationships or even your childhood. So you could go down a real tailspin going down that rabbit hole. So avoid that. Again, another reason why it's best to be in counseling. Now, how you're going to handle the answer when you confront this person is very, very important. And you need to be prepared as to what are you going to do. You have to ask yourself, if you find out that this person is in love with somebody else, or you find out that this person wants to be with this other person, but doesn't want to lose you, that's a crazy one, I have to tell you, full of drama. But you have to know, what will you do? Will you stay in this relationship? Will you leave? If they don't want to be in the relationship with you and they don't love you anymore, you have to ask yourself, why do I want to be with somebody who doesn't love me anymore? Now, granted, if this is a marriage and you have children, there's going to be way more dynamics that are going on. But in a short podcast, I don't have time to go over that. Again, my advice, you need to be in counseling, and so should your kids. And this podcast isn't for the cheater, but if you are listening, do not introduce your children to your new girlfriend or boyfriend. That they need time to grieve the end of a relationship before they begin to have feelings towards somebody else. The other is for the person who is the victim. You don't want to get into a relationship too soon either. So let's get back to making that decision. If you're going to make a decision to confront, my advice first is get whatever proof you can. So like if you received a call telling you that one of your friends saw your partner making out, touching the other person, dancing with the other person provocatively, in a restaurant, holding hands, whatever it may be, or at a hotel. If you overheard a conversation with your partner on the phone with somebody, or read something, or found pictures or text on the phone or a computer, Or, maybe you've believed something and you've printed out the phone numbers, and one number kept coming up at all hours of the night and for long periods of time, and you decided to call that person and found out that that is the person your partner is cheating on, or maybe that person didn't even know that your partner was with you. Maybe somebody sent you anonymous pictures or gave you pictures. Whatever it is, if you have the proof, when you confront, you don't confront with questions. You already have the answers too. So you don't say, so where were you last night? Or, so when did you drive to, and you mention another city? Or, were you at a hotel? Don't do any of that. Confront very specifically, but be calm, be direct, and be prepared to know what you are going to do if the information you hear is not what you wanted to hear, or it's going to hurt you. So avoid the question, but you need to be able to not make any false threats, and you need to state whatever your decision is going to be if this is true. But you want to be able to say, I received a phone call, or I printed out the phone bill, and I saw this number and I called and he or she said. They may immediately turn this around and get angry at you. So they may say, why are you doing that? Say, I'll discuss that later, but right now, and here's where the broken record technique comes in. Here's where you being calm comes in. Here's where good communication skills come in. So you better have listened to all of my other podcasts. That's my recommendation. But the other thing is when you do that, you go back and say, regardless, I printed it out and I spoke to this person and this person said, or my friend saw you at this hotel or this restaurant or making out there or holding hands there, whatever it is. And they're going to say, well, who is this? I'll discuss that later. But right now, I want to know, and then repeat what you were saying. That is how you confront the cheater. Now, my advice is before you confront the cheater, you should be in counseling so that that counselor can help you work through your emotions so that you can stay calm, you can be assertive, you can use that broken record technique, you can make sure that you're not getting scapegoated, you can make sure you're being able to communicate your feelings in a way that's healthy and not overreacting. And mostly that they can't gaslight you. They can't make you think you're crazy and then all of a sudden you act crazy. So those are important things. Now, if the relationship is over, you need to be able to heal and move on. Because healing is about not letting your past dictate your present. It's not letting what happened in your history become your destiny. It's helping you to avoid looking at pictures and obsessing about it and obsessing about what happened and getting you stuck or rushing into a relationship because you just want to feel loved again and special again. So if the relationship is over, if you have not sought counseling yet, this is a time. Also, it's a time to get emotional support from family and friends, but not necessarily advice because they don't always give good advice. You don't want to obsess what happened. So get involved with maybe some activities, physical activities, walking, hiking, pickleball, something different. Join a class on any of those things. I mean, there's Pilates and all kinds of things that will get you either physically moving or put you in a good mental state. So look into all of those things. If you need to, take a little short mini vacation, get away with somebody that, is just a good friend. But again, avoid the advice. If you have to, delete any of the text or any of the things that will keep you obsessed about trying to figure something out. This is not a time to figure out why the person did. It's a time for you to heal. I'd like to end with an affirmational quote that I wrote. It's, I will not be overwhelmed by whatever struggles come my way, for I am not alone. God's peace and love will help me through them. I want to thank you all for listening. Please share this podcast. I know there's a lot of people who can use the help. And please like it, share it, do whatever you can to help me motivate myself enough to make more of these podcasts because I know we really need them. Have a wonderful week. Thank you.